I noticed that whenever I do anything related to Meghan, it becomes like
big news.
Big news.
Yeah.
Big news.
Yeah.
And selfishly, I'm like,
oh my God, Mindy Kaling, Meghan's so-called best friend. Yeah, we'll get into that whole nonsense mess a little bit later. Just dropped a bombshell, like your dad after eating liver and onions. Yeah, she's exposed Meghan Markle and the shocking truth behind her horrible, terrible cooking show. So what really went down behind the scenes, and why is everybody talking about it? Well, the drama is piping hot, and you won't believe the secrets that are spilling out of this one. No, really, it's like somebody hit a giant piñata full of the juicy deets and it's spilling everywhere.
In 10 minutes, I fell asleep.
It was so boring.
It's like, sooner you really.
From the very first scene of Meghan Markle's so-called cooking show, it was clear this wasn't about food, it was about aesthetics, image, and another attempt at selling Meghan as the effortlessly chic, modern-day lifestyle queen. She strolls into a pristine, magazine-perfect kitchen, and it's immediately obvious that nobody cooks in there. Not a single spill, not a speck of flour, not even a stray coffee mug on the counter. The whole thing straight looks like something out of a luxury home catalog, staged down to the last perfectly placed potted herb. It's the kind of kitchen that exists solely for Instagram, not for actual real-life cooking. And then, oh my God, this Meghan herself wearing a white cashmere outfit, y'all, to freaking cook in. Let that sink in for a second. Who the hell wears cashmere, especially white, to cook with in the kitchen? Dude, most of us are lucky if we throw on a clean t-shirt before making breakfast. And if I'm doing dishes, forget it, I'm washing my clothes at the same time. But Meghan, she's over here waltzing around in designer clothes, pretending that this is all just her natural everyday vibe. No apron, no sleeves rolled up, no hair tied back, just pure impractical fantasy. God, eating food from her must be like eating a hairball. And then the secondhand embarrassment kicks in when she starts cooking. She moves with the stiffness of somebody who's probably never even chopped an onion in her entire life. She opens the fridge like she's expecting applause. Hey! Delicately touches ingredients as if she's afraid of getting her hands dirty, and dramatically inhales the scent of fresh herbs like she's starring in a perfume commercial. Smells like weed. It's all so painfully staged that it almost feels like a parody.
The latest episode of With Love, Meghan gifted the world yet another lesson in what not to wear.
And then, of course, there's the forced relatability. Meghan, ever the woman of the people, casually name drops her affordable outfit, Zara pants, as if that somehow cancels out the fact that she's also wearing a $1,300 Laura Piana sweater and a Jenny Kane cardigan that costs more than most people's rent. The poor creature is trying so hard to sell the idea that she's effortlessly chic, effortlessly elegant, and most importantly, just like us. But the act? That's not fooling anybody. At this point, it's hard to tell if this is a cooking show or a glorified lifestyle brand ad. The whole thing feels like an audition for her next business venture, another attempt at carving out her own Gwyneth Paltrow goop empire. But instead of coming across as aspirational, it just feels detached, out of touch, painfully sad, and grossly inauthentic.
Has another name. Have a listen.
I don't think anyone in the world knows that Meghan Markle has eaten Jack in the Box and loves it.
It's so funny, too, that you keep saying Meghan Markle. You know I'm Sussex now.
The moment that Mindy Kaling steps onto Meghan Markle's perfectly curated kitchen, you can feel the tension through the screen. Meghan even started calling Mindy out for her name, stating that, "You know I'm a sucksax now." And Meghan, ever the queen of quiet luxury, is standing there in her monochrome cashmere ensemble looking like she just happened to wake up flawless in a Nancy Meyers movie of all things. And then there's Mindy, Blinged out, bold, and unapologetically herself, dripping in jewelry and wearing a head-to-toe designer denim look that screams, "I came to be seen up in this mother." Who cooks with jewelry? Really?
Yes.
And that feels so, I didn't know how meaningful it would be to me, but it just means so much to go, this is our family name.
Man, this is where the trouble all gets started. Meghan introduces Mindy as her friend. But let's be honest, if they really were friends, why would Meghan even have to do all this? They met a couple of years ago when Mindy appeared on Meghan's podcast, and suddenly, Meghan's parading her around like a longtime confidant. Please, the energy is completely off. And not only that, but the way that she's trying to take a family name for herself was just a little bit too forced and awkward.
What else have you learned about this whole series?
I've learned that nobody who actually cooks wears white when they're cooking.
Mindy, ever the people pleaser, tries to break the ice by gushing over Meghan's style. Oh, rookie mistake, kid. Your fashion is one of my favorite things, she says, practically glowing. She even admits that whenever she sees Meghan in something, she rushes to buy it, only to find it sold out. I mean, that should be a compliment, right? But not to Meghan.
I observed was episode 1 was her makeup artist. Okay. So like that's somebody who works for you. You know, like it's fine. You can become.
The second Mindy says it, Meghan's entire facial expression shifts like she's constipated. Especially when she brings up Daniel, the makeup artist. You can see the annoyance flash across her face. She clenches her jaw and does that forced little humble act. The one where she pretends to be flattered but is really seething inside. Like I said, constipated. And then, in the most dismissive way possible, she responds, "Me? Oh my god, you follow me?" Like, she can't believe somebody would admire her fashion choices. The awkwardness? Yeah, that's thicker than hot chicks at a 90s club. Now, Mindy is visibly thrown off, but she keeps pushing forward, trying to keep the conversation light. And Meghan, she's already checked out. And let's not forget the infamous outfit breakdown. Mindy playfully asks Meghan what she's wearing, and Meghan, ever the woman of the people, starts with her affordable Zara pants. But then Mindy keeps pushing and the truth comes out. A $1,300 sweatshirt, a $395 cardigan, and designer accessories that could pay somebody's mortgage. Now the contrast between the two is painfully obvious. Mindy's vibrant, chatty, and trying way too hard to get Meghan to engage, and Meghan, on the other hand, is cold, stiff, and visibly irritated by the attention.
In the refrigerator door, and you can see this mixture on her face of like utter disdain and contempt for that sentiment.
Yeah.
And then false humility. Like, oh, me? You follow me? You mean when I'm walking around Montecito in 80-degree weather with my full-on wool Max Mara Flora Lane's coat? You're trying to copy me?
Mindy, knowingly or unknowingly, has just exposed the game. Meghan tries so hard to be the woman of the people while simultaneously dripping in luxury fashion. She wants people to think that she's effortlessly chic and relatable, but the reality is that her version of casual costs more than most people's rent. And that's one outfit. And you know, the truly gross part about this, Meghan knows that she's been called out and she hates it. You can see it on her face. She gives one of those tight-lipped, "oh stop it" smiles, but her entire energy screams, "I'm going to eviscerate you and twist in your intestines."
Good audience for this thing is, and by thing I'm not referring to her, I'm referring to the program. I'm not sure who the target audience is. I can promise you, Andrew, that it's not me. It is so contrived, and if she's trying to play against type and trying to get people to be ingratiated towards her, it's really not working.
For a cooking show, there's shockingly little actual cooking involved. I mean, you would think, given the title and the premise, that Meghan would at least pretend to whip up a meal. Instead, the entire production feels more like a glorified lifestyle ad. More focused on aesthetics, curated moments, and Meghan's personal brand than actual, real-life food. From the very first scene, it's clear that something's off. Meghan glides around the staged, perfectly polished kitchen, pausing dramatically as she pulls open the refrigerator and touches ingredients like she's actually never even handled food before. Could Mindy have already sensed this when she exposed her? Every move is rehearsed, every moment deliberately stylized. Oh, and when the food does make an appearance, it's pre-prepped, highly stylized, and looked like it was plated by a professional food stylist, not a casual home cook. Instead of rolling up her sleeves and getting to work, Meghan spends most of her time chatting about aesthetics, storytelling, and curated moments. She'll throw out phrases like, "Cooking is about love," or "This reminds me of simpler times when I wasn't a duchess and super freaking rich and before I dated that guy who was a cook that did everything for me in the dig." But, she doesn't do anything that actually resembles real cooking. It's like she thinks talking about food is the same as making it. I'd like a really big, juicy T-bone steak with mashed potatoes and green beans on the side. And maybe a loaded baked potato with sour cream and bacon. Huh? Oh man, it doesn't work, you guys. How come it works for her but it doesn't work for me? Even Mindy looks confused. She sits there nodding politely, oh God, somebody save me. Probably wondering when the actual cooking's gonna start. At one point in time, she seems to subtly hint at the absurdity of the entire thing by asking more direct questions about the food, but Meghan quickly pivots back to her highly orchestrated, dreamy monologues about nourishment. And let's talk about the unrealistic expectations the show sets. Meghan presents her impossibly perfect lifestyle as if it's something any average person can achieve. From her hand-picked garden berries to her organic, locally sourced honey, because of course she has a personal apiary, everything is so absurdly curated it just becomes laughable. Okay, one of the most ridiculous moments to me, especially coming from a guy who grew up on a farm and raised chickens, was the fact that she gave hers a miniature picnic table that she fed them at. Yeah, a literal tiny picnic table just for the chickens. It's so ridiculously over the top that even Mindy is trying really hard not to laugh. It's like this lady has no idea how much chickens actually crap everywhere. She probably thought it would be a lighthearted, friendly conversation. Two powerful women chatting about food, life, and style. But what she didn't know was that in Meghan Markle's world, there's a fine line between admiration and annoyance, and unfortunately for Mindy, she crossed it. The internet? Oh, they caught it immediately. Clips of Meghan's barely concealed irritation spread like wildfire across social media. It's like everybody got the digital herpes. People analyzed it frame by frame, dissecting every micro expression. Was Meghan annoyed that Mindy was putting her on a pedestal? Did she feel uncomfortable being called out for her influence on fashion? Was she irritated that Mindy had the nerve to make it all about her? Find out in the next exciting episode of Cookingshow Z. I mean, come on. Here's the thing about Meghan Markle. She thrives on admiration when it's on her terms. She loves it when people talk about her grace, her elegance, and her philanthropy. But the moment somebody makes it feel like she's just another celebrity with great style, that's when the walls go up. I'm talking Berlin. And this wasn't just a little slip of the mask, it was a moment of pure, unfiltered irritation. Meghan Markle, the queen of curated public appearances, let the mask slip for just a second. And that second was all the internet needed to confirm what everybody had already suspected. This was not a warm, mutual conversation.
Boring. And it just looks, to me, fake.
The Daily Mail even called the show so awful it is almost compelling.
If there was ever a moment that perfectly summed up how out of touch Meghan Markle is, this was it. The show, which was supposed to be about cooking, quickly turned into an alternate reality, a fantasy world where everyday life is absurdly curated. And the most ridiculous part is still the freaking chickens. At one point, Meghan proudly shows off her backyard chicken coop. But of course, in true Meghan Markle fashion, it's not just any chicken coop. It's a carefully branded, picture-perfect setup that looks like something out of a luxury countryside magazine. And the real kicker was still that stupid little picnic table. And then there's Mindy trying really hard not to laugh. And as absurd as that whole thing was, it didn't stop there. Next, Meghan effortlessly glides over to the beehive, because of course it's there. as she scoops up some fresh honey and casually suggests that anybody who wants to improve their cooking should just visit their local beekeeper. The internet immediately erupted because who the hell on earth has a local beekeeper? For the average person, honey comes from a grocery store, not from a personally cultivated beehive sitting in the backyard of a multi-million-dollar mansion. People were howling with laughter as Meghan's complete detachment from reality became even more obvious. And Mindy, she looked like she was physically holding in a reaction, whether it was a laugh or diarrhea, it's hard to say. A woman known for her relatable humor and real-life experiences standing next to Meghan Markle's chicken picnic table and homegrown honey farm was nothing short of surreal. And as exhausted as we all were, Meghan still wasn't done. She then takes viewers to her massive and possibly perfect garden where she carefully picks fresh berries while dressed in spotless white cashmere ensemble. And Mindy, she was trapped in all of it. Throughout all these segments, she kept smiling, nodding, and trying to go along with it, but the awkwardness was palpable. The whole thing made one thing very, very clear. Meghan Markle doesn't live in the same reality as the rest of us. And this show, it's not about food at all. It was about selling a fantasy. A carefully curated world where Meghan Markle is the effortlessly elegant, nature-loving, organic cooking queen of Montecito.
I know how meaningful it would be to me, but it just means so much to go, this is our family name.
Mindy probably thought she was walking into a simple, lighthearted guest appearance on Meghan's cooking show, only to find herself unintentionally exposing one of the most awkwardly curated performances on TV. Especially when it comes to the family name. Why was Meghan so fixated on that? From the moment Mindy arrived, the energy was off. Meghan introduced her as a friend, but anybody watching could immediately tell that these two barely knew each other. Their interaction was forced, the conversation was stiff, and Meghan's usual polished act started to crack the moment Mindy entered the scene. Mindy, known for her quick wit, bubbly personality, and self-deprecating humor, tried to inject some warmth into the conversation, but Meghan wasn't having none of that. So, what are your thoughts on all of this? Let us know in the comment section down below.